Peace to the world! Peace to the world!
Hello and welcome back. This morning we're going to be talking about a plethora of things.
It's been a minute since we've done a sit down like this.
We're going to get into it right now, but first we want to ask you to please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and make sure your notifications are set on for this channel. Sometimes they just get turned off, I don't know, but I see in the comments sometimes people say, I never get notifications anymore. So somewhere on YouTube there's a setting. Don't know how to find it.
You are a YouTuber. You're supposed to know that kind of stuff.
Listen, I'm a video editor. I'm a house renovator, chicken farmer, but I do not call myself a YouTuber. I'm a creator or an influencer.
You're a creator of many things.
We're gonna start this whole story with talking about the FDA approving the Pfizer vaccine. So now the military is gonna start mandating that all service members must be vaccinated. How do you feel about that?
You know, they kept saying that
Touchy subject.
They think that one of the reasons that they've been having trouble getting people to get vaccinated was because the FDA hadn't officially approved the vaccine. But I don't buy that. I don't think that has stopped anybody. I think of all the things and all the reasons that some people have chosen to not get vaccinated, I just do not buy that that's one of the reasons. I don't even hear people say, I don't hear anybody other than the media saying that. Even people that
we know somebody very close to us that said that.
That's because of it.
Well, not that it hadn't been approved, but it was rushed to market, and they weren't confident about that. Which is like, listen,
I've heard that.
All valid. I totally get it.
But
that's the argument.
But I do hear that because they feel like it was rushed, and there's not been time to study the long-term effects of the vaccine. That's been part of the reason why they haven't. The approval, to me, does not mean the same thing as like somebody who's like skeptical because of the long-term, the hesitancy or the like lack of information about long-term effects.
But at the same time, it's like people are still suffering with long-term effects from COVID. Nonetheless, it's approved. I just thought it was fascinating. I saw it this morning pop up and I thought, oh, there's gonna be some good commentary and just people bitching back and forth on the internet. All right, so fun fact. Out of 170 million Americans who have been vaccinated, 92 million have received the Pfizer vaccine, which is now Comirnaty.
You guys know we live in a small town or a more rural town. We've talked about being a openly gay family in a rural town before on this channel, but that was a different small town.
Ooh, we saw lesbians at the restaurant last night.
We did. We're again in another more rural town in America, and things are definitely different. We've still had no issues with being an openly gay family in this small town. Crow has not been in the grocery store, like he's been in the store over the past year and a half a handful of times.
And only like at certain times of the day. Like we won't take him in when it's super crowded because in this community there's never been really any mask mandates, anything.
Well, even when there were mandates, like
nobody
throughout the corporations, they're like, this is just not a town that...
Everyone's scared to enforce it.
We went to the grocery store during a slower time, and we were out and about, and we needed some things, so we stopped at the grocery store.
And let him pick out his own boxes of cereal.
We had our masks on to show solidarity with Crow, but because I guess the new surge, even though we're vaccinated, we've been wearing them.
Store employees have to wear masks, so we just kind of feel like it's the right thing to do.
As we were walking through the store, Crow and I were in the cereal aisle, the two of us picking out cereal. Blue was on the next aisle over, grabbing something and coming over, and there was a woman who passed by Crow and I and started kind of under her breath saying, child abuse, child abuse, child abuse, to her husband who she was walking up to because Crow was wearing a mask. As she was muttering this to her husband, Blue happened to be walking past her, walking back to meet us from the next aisle over. Blue, of course, beautiful hot-headed husband, got a little worked up and he was like, did you hear that woman? Did you hear that woman yell saying child abuse, child abuse? And then by then she had like left off and he's like, I'm gonna go say something. I was like, Blue.
The kids are stuck in the middle of adults fighting all the time over the topic of vaccines and masking and what's safe and what's not.
Especially now with a lot of the schools, the governors of Arizona and Florida and...
It's not fair.
But they're saying that they're gonna withhold funding to schools that do implement mask mandates. But you're really just punishing the kids. And the kids really are the ones who are going to suffer. And it doesn't make sense to me that you withholding funds is like just to me does not make sense.
You have a right to opinion. You have that right, but we have the right to be in a grocery store with a mask on, free of your harassment. And I think that is what my message is that stop harassing people if they're wearing a mask or if they choose to follow the science and get a vaccine. It was one of the first times that we had ever, like, I guess, experienced any kind of bullying or whatever you want to call it, and not even based on the fact that we were, you know, LGBT family.
You really are feeling that Bradley Jackson right now.
Oh my gosh, do you think we have time to watch the last episode after this? Some of you all may have seen that we went camping recently. Well, here's the pre-start to our video when I think I realized that the camper is gonna be too small for us, which is small anyways, but I think that after camping in it, I think we need to sell it. And I wanted to have that conversation in front of everybody so you could tell me, oh, this is why we shouldn't sell the camper. And then I'm gonna tell you the reasons why we should sell the camper.
I mean, here's the thing. We've used that camper now once. We bought it a year ago. We cleaned it up.
I'm sorry,
for a year.
we cleaned it up?
You mostly cleaned it up.
Okay.
I did a little cleaning
Then
up.
it
sat around. Then we cleaned it up. Then we went camping. And you're right.
Go camping.
It was a little tight, but it's 1,000 times better than sleeping in a tent.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
It's easier to get around than pulling a giant trailer. And I'm not driving a trailer around. I don't even drive the camper around, but you.
I don't even let you drive my truck.
So you are not going, like, the way you stress out about pulling this or pulling when we had the horse trailer, you're gonna pull an even bigger thing on the back of your truck. That seems like so much more work. And it just seems like a lot more. Like to graduate to a trailer is just so much more. Or to, in like an actual like motorhome or RV situation, like that's even more. Now we have another vehicle.
Upkeep of a vehicle. Let me tell you the few reasons why it's a good idea. One, your son probably 3 months away from not fitting in that bed.
Oof.
Two, our dog is also so big that he could walk in and stand, but there's nowhere that he can lay down. If he were to lay down, he would like be scrunched up like this. The last reason is when we went camping, it would have been nice to drop off the camper, trailer, whatever, and say, okay, we're gonna go explore. We couldn't really leave our site because the camper was just, everything was unfolded. The cabinets, you know what I mean?
It's
Like
all attached to the truck.
It's all attached to the truck.
We would have to like take it off. That would be such a thing.
Yeah, but at the same time, you can get places with a cab over camper on the back of your truck that you cannot with a trailer. What do y'all think?
It's all gonna be you, so it's gonna be you selling
He
it.
admits it!
It's gonna be you finding the new one. It's gonna be you dealing with all of it. So like,
And it's gonna be you that gets to play in the camper and have fun. So you'll.
whatever, you do whatever you guys.
So you're
do.
telling me you support either?
I'm telling you, I think it's a lot of effort and work that goes into selling and buying a whole new situation and re-cleaning out. And there's a lot of other things in our lives that need attention right now.
Oh, perfect segue. Isn't that a scooter too?
A Segway? Yeah. People always think that this is a Segway or a yo-yo. On that note.
What was the segue again? What did you say?
Other things in our lives that require
other
attention.
things, like your garden.
I know we've been kind of like jumping out to the garden quite a bit in the last few videos, and we know that it's like crazy abundant right now because we've had all these crazy rains, so everything is just like overcrowded and grown up 10 times bigger than it was last year. We are just drowning in squash right now between our patty pan squash, our zucchini, and our yellow squash. I don't even think I'll be able to get them all over here.
Why do they call it a patty pan? Can we just call it a pea squash? You left 6 of them up there.
I know. Look at how much, I can't see in the camera. Look at how much this is. This is the patty pans, zucchini, and yellow squash. And this isn't even all of it.
The reason there is so much of it is because it never gets used. You've made zoodles once, you haven't made a single baked good out of it, and we maybe had like a couple dinners where we've made squash because our son does not like it.
Yes, because I haven't baked because we have so many house projects happening.
Oh, another segue!
Those are them Blues obsession. These yellow cucumbers.
I don't understand why these aren't
lemon cucumbers.
like a mainstream something in the grocery store, because they're cucumbers. They taste like a cucumber, and you put a little salt on them. They're so good. But you could I just had one before we started filming. Eat it like an apple.
But they're called lemon cucumbers, and
They don't
they're
taste like
just
lemons.
no, they don't taste. They're called that because of
The color.
obvious, the color and the shape. But this guy is like crazy for them.
We're renovating our third home. I feel like at this point we've become really good at sprucing things up without spending a lot of money on it. Things that make a big difference. So things like do you have something to say?
No, it's fine. You can just keep going.
Electrical sockets, really inexpensive. Doorknobs, hinges, all relatively inexpensive things to swap out, and it gives your house
What's the detail? It's like
the
the
detail.
little things that go a long way. Little details that make things
'Cause a lot of
seem
times-
hold together and a little more polished.
in a house like this, and a lot of people out there might be guilty of doing this, or might even have bought a house that are like this. Every single door hinge in this house was painted over,
Ugh.
sloppily painted over. And the problem with painting your hinges is that you only get half of it. Hinge that sticks out, you have to either choose to paint or not paint, and if you don't paint it, then it's like a sloppy line.
But
if you do paint it, the paint peels off.
It's also latex paint on metal, so it just scratches and like
It's
it
never
never,
a good thing.
looks good. It always just like take off your hardware. It takes you an extra 5-10 minutes, and it's going to be all the difference in the world. That's why we buy the houses we do, because people that treat their homes away like that and like that need that fixing. But it is.
We're home savers, is what we are. I feel like that's a lot of what we do on this channel, and we often get comments from people who do similar projects on their home, and I think that it's something I enjoy, and I love working on our home and building a nice
Wait,
home.
you're such a good job at it.
Oh,
You're doing such a good
He finally
job.
tells me I have to put it on video before I get any
Good
praise.
boy.
I love to be spoken to like a dog.
On this channel, a lot of times we don't do like huge reveals where we'll make up over an entire room and spend but it is about doing all these little things that are just about caring for our home, that over time produce a home, as opposed to just like a house and just a roof and some walls, but a place that has actually been cared for. And all those little things, they add up in the collective feeling and coziness of your home. And all those little things, all of a sudden you look around and you're like, whoa, I don't feel like we've done all these crazy big projects, but all of a sudden our house feels like a reflection of us.
Yeah.
And they're little things that may not, they seem little at the time, but all those things just build up and become make the home really special. Yeah, I don't, I like Jennifer Aniston, but I don't know if I love Alex Levy, so I don't know how I feel about baby Alex in this dynamic.
Well, you're Alex in the sense of you're more seasoned, you've been in front of the camera more, you're more of the veteran professional.
You're a little more hot-headed. You're a little bit more
Bradley
direct and
Jackson.
the truth teller. I'm a little bit more
Make it
aware
real.
of what I say. Anyway, so this is what show we're in the middle of binging right now. Watching the morning show, and season 2 is gonna come out next month, September 17th.
I'm so excited. We have our last episode of this season 1.
Which we'll probably watch as soon as we
And
turn this camera off. It's all centered around the Me Too movement, or this generation of the boys club. Not generation. I mean, it's not even this generation, but it's been what we've been talking about over the past 5-ish years. I think they do a really great job at addressing it, and sort of showing all the different aspects and sides of it. It's hard because we became so complacent as a society, or not even became, we always were. You go back generation to generation to generation, it was always the boys club, and women were always treated a certain way, and it was you talk about Alex Levy and how she was silent, but there was she was herself just trying to survive.
I think it does a very good job of portraying both sides.
We were in the industry before all of the Me Too.
I think that you experienced, we were on opposite sides of the desk, but I think that you experienced probably a lot more of what's in the show. I feel like what I experienced was much more of the homophobia within the industry.
I guess, but it's a good show. I'm looking forward to season 2. That's what we're watching right now.
Very good. But hands down, the best show that I think I've watched in
Oh my
probably
God.
my whole life. Ted Lasso It is such. It's just like a feel good.
It is the best show on television
It's
for the
so
past
good.
2 years.
It gives you everything you
Yeah,
want.
but it's like what the world needs right now. Happiness and nice and kindness and feel good. Like we need that. And it
And
is
optimism,
like,
though.
and optimism.
He's
Like,
so optimistic about even when things go bad and his team loses and everyone's fighting. He always remains optimistic.
I love it. It makes me
It's
so
a
happy.
very good show.
It's a great show. If you guys are not watching Ted Lasso, you must watch Ted Lasso.
True.
Why did you just destroy that pencil?
Because I'm so fidgety, my eraser broke off, so I can't rub it.
All right.
It's right there on the ground.
Listen, you
Listen.
guys, thanks for hanging out with us today. Thanks for sitting through another sit down.
Tune in next week
Uh,
for another episode of Matt and Blue in the Morning.
is it gonna be this again?
I don't know, but I feel like we need something.
We need something.
We need like a, like not the morning show, but like just like a little catchphrase.
Peace to the world.
Peace to the world.
We hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. We'll see you on next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. You said it.
Peace out. Look at, we finished our Hogwarts castle.